Okay, so a lot of you guys asked for a face routine using the Kat Von D foundation. I have to say I hate this foundation. Like, it is so not my favorite. I actually don't care for it at all. It's just not my thing at all. So I know a lot of you guys might hate me for saying that, but that is honestly just how I feel. So I used to have shade 62. It is way too orange for me. She now made new shades, so I'm actually more of a 57 or like somewhere in between. Like, I wish she made like a 60 or like a 59. But 57, 62, I'm like right in the middle. The 62 is definitely way too orange for me, so I actually use more of the 57. And I kind of mix it with my Face and Body number 34. I use 34 to do this, or I mix it with my MAC Face and Body in C6. Either one of these will work. I usually grab the 34 because it's a little bit lighter and it takes like that orangey kind of look away. Sometimes when I use the C6 it ends up a little too warm for me. But you can use a tinted moisturizer if you want to. I have tried mixing it with my Sonia Kashuk. It works fine. I also have tried mixing it with my NARS tinted moisturizer. Also works fine. But I find that definitely the Face and Body like shears it out and makes it 10 times more fluid when I blend it. So personally, that's what I prefer. So I usually do like one pump of the Face and Body. So like one good pump of that. And then I mix like maybe I would say about half a pump of the Kat Von D. Just to kind of mix it in my hand a little bit, and then just kind of dot a couple areas around my face. Before I forget, sorry, I forgot to mention that I've primed my face with Laura Mercier's Radiance Primer. I usually use a glowing style kind of primer, either that one, Makeup Forever HD number 6, something that will give me a little bit of a glow because this foundation is extremely matte. And I don't know if I personally like that. So I go ahead and just kind of take it with my Expert Face Brush from Real Techniques. And then just helps it blend so much easier because I'm not a huge fan of mattifying foundations to begin with. So my main issue with Kat Von D's foundation is that, I mean, it is nice to blend. Literally, you can keep going and going and going and it just buffs and gets better into the skin. However, I swear, like, because of how it oxidizes, like, it's so hard to find a good match. So personally, 57 is the best match for me. At first, it goes on a little bit light, and then it starts to blend into my skin. Like, you guys can kind of see it. It's very orangey. Like, it's yellow and it's golden, but it's also a little orangey. Like, I don't know why a lot of her, like, warmer yellow tones end up so orangey. It's so irritating. But in any case, it helps it blend so much better, as you guys can now tell. It just helps it blend easier. If you guys have ever experienced this foundation, it's very matte and you have to literally keep working with it. The littlest amount, like literally half a pump of it, will cover your whole entire face. And those who say it's cakey, you use too much, that's for sure. The good part is I don't really get too many returns on it, but I also think it's because we don't really try to sell it that often, at least in our store anyway. I do have a ton of people that come in looking for it because who doesn't love Kat Von D? And she is exclusively to Sephora, so I do see why people run for the gates for it because it really is a pretty good full coverage, but I've experienced much more easier working kind of full coverage foundations, and I don't hate it. It just, I gotta give it like an hour or two to sit on my skin before I fall in love with it. It's kind of annoying. So I still have some left. Like, you guys can see how orange that is. It's crazy. And even mixed with, like, see, the more I blend it, like the more I break the pigment out, the more orange it gets. So that's what I hate the most about it. 62 is far worse. Like, even when I'm tanner, it's just okay. Like, it's just way too orange. Like, I look like Snooki. It's not even funny. So 57 works the best for me, just so you guys know. And I actually don't use this foundation very often. It is a really great foundation. It does wear very well throughout the day. It probably takes a good 12 hours before I start seeing any kind of shine. That's on its own. So I usually use a glowing foundation because otherwise it's a little too matte. So now also too, mixing it with the face and body makes it a little bit more of a natural matte finish as opposed to like a flat matte finish. It still gives me a little bit of a glow, and then with the Radiance primer underneath, it just kind of helps my skin stay looking a little bit more healthier as opposed to being like flat matte. I can use the 57 totally by itself. I don't have to mix it with anything actually. I do it based on preference. So the only reason I do that is because it works better for me when I mix it with something, because not only does it blend better across my skin, but I feel like it just makes it looks less makeup-y, you know? Like it is a full coverage, so I don't want it to look overly cakey. I did have a lot of breaking out like right here, and it did cover it all. You can only see like the bump, but you can't see like the redness or anything. It did cover a lot right here in my forehead, so I don't need concealer there as well. Honestly, like the pigment like stays on the brushes that you use, or like whatever beauty blender that you use. So honestly, if you just keep buffing it, like it just gets better. Because I find that this foundation works the best when you just kind of keep working it into your skin. Because you just kind of keep moving the pigment around until it like becomes part of your skin, and it just works the best that way. Without the 34 though, it's more not golden, but it's more caramel like. It's a lot warmer without the 34, so I actually mix it with the 34 just to make it more pliable, number one, to change the consistency, and then number two, so that it works better with my actual skin tone, because it's not yellow enough, and it's not neutral enough. So I usually mix like something neutral-ish, something more with a little bit more beige to kind of like take down that orangey tone. I just grab whatever concealer I feel like using for the day, depending on the look I'm going for. As you guys know, I usually use Estee Lauder Double Wear, and I do use Warm Medium, I believe. Yeah, Warm Medium. And then for my under eye concealer, it's either going to be this one or NC30 Pro Long Wear from MAC. So it's going to be one of those two. Either one. Just depends how I feel, and this foundation covers so much that I don't really need to put a lot of under eye concealer. It's literally just like to finish up whatever look I have going on. And if I had any additional blemishes to really cover, which I normally don't with this foundation, then I would just kind of buff a little extra. Like, I don't even know why I did it in the middle of my forehead, because I don't really need to cover anything there. Like, I was just like, oh, there's not really anything to cover. Just a habit, I guess. And then just for good measure, just around the way, random places. I don't even need to. I don't know why I'm doing that. So just to upkeep the finish of this foundation, I normally grab for a mattifying powder. It's going to be either of these two, either the Sephora Mattifying one. This is in the old packaging. The new one is like an ovally shaped one, but either way, I'm shade 34 in either one. And then sometimes I'll grab my Dual Matte from Makeup Forever, shade number 209. I'm going to go ahead and use my Sephora one. Really doesn't matter which one you use. It's all the same. It's literally just to kind of finish it off. You don't even have to use a powder, but I just do it for finishing sake and just to help it last a little longer, but you don't really have to. This foundation definitely lasts completely by itself with or without any kind of setting powder over it. For me, it's just a habit. Like, it just looks more finished that way for me. I always set underneath my eyes with something. It doesn't matter what, whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and use Nye's Banana powder, but you can use whatever you want. It's totally up to you. Really doesn't make a difference. It's all the same thing. As you guys know, I always grab some kind of bronzer. So whatever bronzer I feel like using for the day, it's going to be Benefits Hoola, NYX, BareMinerals, whatever. It's all the same to me. So I'm going to take BareMinerals High Dive. I usually choose my bronzer of choice depending on the look I'm going for that day. Like today, I want to focus more on my eyes, less on my face, because my complexion is pretty smooth, as you can tell. As you can see, this foundation looks really good in pictures. So just to kind of go with the flawless complexion, I'm not going to do any like crazy contouring, and I'm also going to keep it light with the bronzer just because this foundation is super golden already. So I just kind of brush my bronzer in the 3E method just to kind of look really nice and golden all over. And then blush of your choice, doesn't matter. I lately have been grabbing my Gold Deposit MSF or my Cheeky Bronze MSF or Deep Throat from NARS, one of the two, just because I want to kind of upkeep my glowy bronzy skin right now. See, that's the thing. Every time I use this foundation, I am like, always crying to like highlight and glow up my skin because this foundation is so freaking matte. So I don't mind it at all. If that's totally your steez, go for it. But I love my J.Lo Glow. Y'all know how I feel about my J.Lo Glow, okay? I don't know, I just, every time I use this foundation, I really want my skin to like stay glowy even through all the matteness. So I was like, I always like highlight the crap out of my face or use like a bunch of MSFs just to kind of counteract all the mattifyingness. So I'm just popping Soft and Gentle right on my cheekbones and then a little bit down my nose. There you go. Just like that. And then that's usually what I do with this. And then I just kind of set everything, usually either with Urban Decay All Nighter or MAC Fix Plus. It really doesn't matter. It's the same. The only difference is that Fix Plus leaves a more dewy finish and All Nighter leaves a more finish. And then just kind of do like a once over all the way around. And as you can tell, it just brings like the dewiness back. I like how this foundation works. It's a pain in the ass to find the perfect shade. So for me, if you're like NC 42, I would say 57 is going to be a way better match for you than 62. 62 is definitely for someone who's like maybe NC 45, if even that, because it's just so damn orange. That's my only gripe with this, is that like her shade range, even though she added new shades, it still doesn't like, it doesn't help like the warmer skin tone people still. It's annoying. It's just not ultimately something I grab a lot because it's just a little overly matte for me and I have to really work with it to make it work, and that's kind of frustrating for me personally. I like to see how foundations perform and how they work by themselves totally as is with their own formulas. And then I like to be able to customize how I want my complexion to look. I mean, I don't mind mixing it with something else, but that's kind of the problem. So if you are more into like a dewy complexion, you're really gonna have to work with this foundation. Like if you love the coverage of this foundation and the longevity of this foundation, but you like a dewy glow, then you're gonna have to work with it a little bit. The good part is it's just like any other foundation. It's easy to manipulate, but it is very thick. It is a very, very thick like consistency, so you do have to work with it when you're blending it on your skin, and sometimes that's just not something I have time for personally. You guys have seen some of my past flawless face routines with other foundations, and I usually like to keep it pretty simple. I do pride myself in a flawless face, obviously, so this does fall into like top 10 of which ones will work for that. So I do love this foundation, but it's not personally for me. Like I love the product itself, and how it works for others who are looking for what this foundation does. Everything that it claims, it holds up to. It is long wearing, it is waterproof, it is sweat resistant, and it is non-transferable. But the problem is the shade range. So that's my only gripe with this foundation, and I guess that's why I don't like it very much, is because in order for me to find my perfect shade, I have to mix. And unless I love the foundation enough, I'm not going to do that. Like, you guys know I love my Makeup Forever Face and Body. If you've seen my face routine with this one, you guys know that I mix 2 colors. I love this foundation enough to do that. I don't think I love any other foundation enough to do that. This is the only one. I did do the tutorial for the sake of you guys, because I know that you guys wanted to see a face routine with this. I will do a full-blown review on the Kat Von D, but those are just my little tidbit thoughts on it so far. For those of you who want a full-blown review, just stay tuned. It will come up. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!